All right, folks, we got a doozy here. We're exploring a Kyler Murray for Tua Tagovailoa swap here on today's show because there's been a lot of drama in Arizona, and many people speculate that Kyler Murray's time with the Cardinals is coming to an end. And we know the same is happening in Miami. We don't expect Tua to be here for more than next season, and most Dolphins fans, including myself, want him moved off of going into 2026. But let's talk about Kyler Murray, and then we'll get into some of the Tua stuff. But I do believe he is done with the Arizona Cardinals. Let's go over what has transpired in Arizona over the past week. We'll start with on Tuesday, after the NFL trade deadline, the report came out that the Cardinals are naming Jacoby Brissett as their starting quarterback. And it was very misleading because it was just like, wait a minute. Jacoby Brissett is replacing Kyler? Are they benching Kyler? Murray's missed the last 2 or 3 weeks with an injury. Is it injury related? Is it a stone cold benching? No one knew the answer. And then an hour later, reports come out that Kyler Murray's foot injury, which has kept him out, is a little more severe than they anticipated, and he was placed on IR. So he's out at minimum the next 4 games. But not to make a pun here with the Dolphins, something's fishy with this entire situation in Arizona. Because there was an expectation set that Kyler Murray was going to be healthy enough to play this past Monday on Monday Night Football against the Dallas Cowboys. If you remember, after week 8, Adam Schefter had a report that, all right, it's time. These quarterbacks are coming back. Lamar Jackson for the Ravens, J.J. McCarthy for the Vikings, and Kyler Murray for the Cardinals. And the only person that didn't return for their respective team was Kyler Murray. And there was videos of Murray at practice moving around pretty well. So it's what's going on here? Why is Kyler Murray not playing in this game? And then why is he put on IR when you should have put him on IR to begin with 2 weeks ago? It's just a weird situation. It feels like a soft benching. And most people believe that he is ultimately going to be moved on from this upcoming offseason. So if he is on the trade market, would you trade Tua for Kyler Murray? And the reason we're talking about this is because many people have suggested the Dolphins will be one of the teams that Murray could ultimately land with. And if that's the case, you're obviously going to probably trade Tua in a swap with the Arizona Cardinals. Well, let's talk about Murray, the player, and the cap situation here for Miami. Murray just simply hasn't been that good this season for Arizona. They were, I think, 2-3 before his injury. They're currently 3-5. They were 1-2 with Jacoby Brissett filling in, getting that win against the Dallas Cowboys last Monday. Murray, obviously former number 1 overall pick, has had insanely good flashes, but the story here is he's been injury prone his entire career. He's obviously a smaller stature quarterback, and they've been unable to really build a sustained winning team in Arizona with him at quarterback. We obviously know that after his rookie year, they had a couple of years early in the 2020s where they were legitimately contending for number 1 seed, and Kyler Murray was thought of as a NFL MVP candidate. They were at one point just a couple of years ago, I think, undefeated, 7-0 with J.J. Watt and company. They were bowling out, and next thing you know, they absolutely fall off of a cliff. They finished, I think, 10-7, so they went 3-7 in their final 10 games, and then get bounced in the first round of the playoffs against the Los Angeles Rams. So it's been a very up and down tenure for Murray in Arizona, and it feels like the Cardinals are ultimately done with him. And when you look at his contract, it's actually not that bad for the team that is ultimately acquiring Kyler Murray. He's got 3 years left on his deal, but one of them is a team option, which doesn't really happen that often in the NFL. But in 2028, it's a $43.7 million team option. But the cap number for the team that would take him in, a.k.a. Miami in this hypothetical, is 39.8 and 33.6. And if we're going to call a spade here, that's a relatively decent contract. You can argue if Kyler Murray is good or not, but that contract, he's still a top 20 quarterback in football. He's probably still a top half quarterback in football. And for him to be getting paid less than $40 million per year is pretty solid. Like Tua, who's a bottom 10 quarterback in football, is having cap hits of $50 million. So, like, Kyler Murray's contract, without a question, is better than Tua. I think Kyler Murray is better than Tua. So you start to have this conversation, and you're like, okay, does this make sense for the Miami Dolphins? I'll say it right now. I would rather have Kyler Murray on my football team than Tua. Let's be real. Kyler Murray's got a better contract. He is a better player. He is more dynamic. And I don't think Kyler Murray is a player that you could really build a championship roster around. Like, I'm not saying that. But if you're just going in a vacuum on who would you rather have on your football team, Tua or Kyler Murray, I still feel as if most people would likely pick the former first overall pick, Kyler Murray. And that's why I think it would be a little bit of a far-fetched kind of idea here to swap Tua and Kyler Murray, because would the Arizona Cardinals want Tua on their team? Like, maybe if they want more of a stable, in-the-pocket quarterback, like, sure, maybe you could understand they like the fit with Tua better than Kyler Murray. But I don't think you could just trade Tua for Kyler Murray straight up in a swap like some people on Twitter have talked about and it be accepted by the Arizona Cardinals. I just have a hard time believing that is ultimately the case. More coming up here in a second, but this episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every day, and the right decisions on Prize Picks can get you paid. And with the weather changing, well, you know what never changes? The feeling of being right. Prize Picks, so simple. Just pick more or less than at least 2 player stats. If you get your picks right, you could cash in. Prize Picks puts their users first. All withdrawals are fast and secure. Prize Picks offers Venmo, Apple Pay, MasterCard, and more for quick and easy deposits into your account this football season. I've got an entry for the Dolphins game this upcoming Sunday. More than Devon Achane receiving yards. More than Tua Tagovailoa pass attempts. Less than Josh Allen pass completions. I think they run the ball a ton and get up big against the Dolphins. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Could the Cardinals want to? I just don't know. Like, when you think about why it hasn't worked in Arizona, I think it's because they dislike the inability to stay on the football field with Kyler Murray. I think it's the issues with him being able to win games against good opponents and down the stretch of a season. And if you are keeping track at home, those are all things that we dislike about Tua. And with Tua's declining play, I just don't see a world where a team really goes in and commits either time, money, or draft capital to get Tua on their roster. And when you look at Tua's contract for a team that trades for him, it is significantly more expensive than Kyler Murray's. Like, $20 million difference in 2026. Murray's at like 36, Tua's at 55.6. Now, they're both around the same price tag in 2027, around mid-30s, high 30s. But then Tua, once again, is the more expensive quarterback in 2028, and that year is not a team option. That is a guaranteed year, if you will, if he's on your roster. Now, if you traded for Tua and it didn't work out, you could obviously move off of his contract after 2026, the same time Miami can. But is a team like Arizona going to trade Kyler Murray for Tua and have a quarterback who you will argue is worse than Murray getting paid about $20 million more? I don't think so. Like, if you prefer Tua, maybe you would do it, but the Dolphins would likely have to add draft compensation to it. Like, if the Dolphins wanted to do this, like, I think Miami would have to do Tua and a first. Not actually a first. That was a misspeak. Don't take anything I just said for granted there or for real. I would be like a Tua and like a third rounder for Kyler Murray. Like, that's what it would be. But ultimately, I think that would be a mistake for the Miami Dolphins. So if you are asking me if I think the Dolphins should trade Tua for Kyler Murray, I'm actually answering no. Despite how I have laid out Murray's contract better, he's the better player than Tua. I still think it would be a bad decision to trade Tua for Kyler Murray. I'll explain why here in a second. But if you want daily informative Dolphins content for free on the daily, this is the channel for you. Subscribe and join the family. We'll be live on Sunday for Dolphins Bills Week 10 action as well. Why would this be a mistake for the Miami Dolphins? I'll tell you why. Even if you trade Tua for Kyler Murray, yes, Kyler Murray is the cheaper QB in what Miami would have to take in. But it would almost equal in money because you still will owe Tua a little bit of money. It's not like you're wiping your hands clean if you trade him. So when you combine Murray's contract with some of the dead money, it will equal about what you are paying Tua right now. So you're basically paying Murray to be your quarterback for the same price of Tua that you would if you just kept him on the team. And I don't think the Dolphins are going to be any closer to winning a Super Bowl with Kyler Murray. I think most people would agree with that. So if I'm the Dolphins, I am not trading Tua in potential draft compensation for a very marginal upgrade in the short term for Kyler Murray. I would just sit patient and find your next quarterback of the future in the draft, whether it's in 2026 or in 2027. And then you save yourselves a little bit of money by cutting Tua following the 2026 season where there's only about $33 million in dead cap. Like, there's so many different options you can go with at quarterback in 2026 or 2027. These are obviously the top QB prospects this upcoming draft with Mendoza headlining it. And this is actually, I think, how I would rank them right now. I got to be honest. I think I would have Mendoza 1, Simpson 2, Sellers 3. I'm a big Brennan Sorsby guy. If you weren't aware, watch our mock draft I put out on Friday morning. I love Brennan Sorsby. I'm not high on Dante Moore whatsoever. He's my QB 5, my tier 6, Garrett Nussmeier 7, Drew Allar 8. And some of these quarterbacks might ultimately go back to school. Like, there's a chance that LaNorris Sellers goes back to school. There's a chance that Dante Moore goes back to school. There's a high chance that John Mateer goes back to school. And there's a decent chance that Brennan Sorsby goes back to school. So some of these quarterback prospects could ultimately not be in the pool this upcoming April, which would just make the 2027 draft class absolutely loaded because you have these 8 guys that you project to be there. A couple of them could come out in this year's draft, like Jayden Maiava, Darian Mensah, Sam Leavitt, Arch Manning. But I project all of them to return to college and make an absolute stacked 2027 QB draft class. Like, there's a chance all 8 of these guys are top, 64 picks in 2027? Like, it's a hot take. Would I bet that happens? No, it's because it's aggressive, but it's definitely possible because I really like the long-term view on Darian Mensah. I like CJ Carr long-term. Sayin has looked really good, and all these other guys have really elite traits as well. So the point I'm trying to make with this entire video and the back end here, talking about the QB draft classes over the next 2 years, it's me trying to say do not rush into anything here. Like, yeah, would Kyler Murray be an immediate upgrade over Tua? Absolutely. And I don't think it's likely the Cardinals would accept a Tua for Murray swap straight up. I think that'd be dumb on their part, but I would also think it would be dumb on Miami's. Like, I just don't think it benefits you in the long term. Do it the right way. Draft a quarterback, or at least build a good enough roster to where a QB upgrade like Murray over Tua would take you into the promised land or into the postseason. Similar to what the Rams did. They upgraded from Jared Goff to Matthew Stafford. They won a Super Bowl. The Dolphins could do something similar, upgrade from Tua to Murray, but that's also not going to take you to the Super Bowl because you do not have a good enough roster around the quarterback position. You want more thoughts on the Dolphins? Go follow me over on Twitter at Nick_Roloff. Appreciate everybody for hanging out with us on this episode. We'll have another video out tomorrow, so stay tuned for that and go give me a follow.